Hey everyone. So I'm still at SAVTA, the Safe Tech Convention down here in Kentucky, which is like the safe and lock capital of, if you're not in the industry, people are blown away by how it's the nexus of it all. And Connor has brought me down to Bullseye for a little bit to talk about safe deposit locks, which is not my forte. In fact, I think the most I know about them is from all of my studying for the CPS exam. I don't encounter them much in the real world. And if you're not in the industry, in the trade, you don't realize the space they occupy and how that's been changing and evolving and what companies like Bullseye are doing to keep it alive. So when did you find Bullseye, and tell me a little bit about what brought you here and why, we'll get into why the market is being addressed in the way it is by you folk and almost no one else anymore.
So yeah, I started working at Bullseye about 7 years ago, and started out just working hands-on with the locks, doing match work and that sort of thing, and worked my way up to being the production manager. So it's been an interesting time and learned a lot. It's a very cool industry.
And we've seen so many names that people associate with locks and safes kind of go.
Yeah.
Right. So like you've got Diebold, you've got Mosler, you got Lefferberry, you might not know. S&G was in this game for ages.
Yep,
like hell, Sergeant Greeley's right down the road.
Yep, they just recently got out. I want to say about 3 years ago, S&G stopped manufacturing safe deposit locks. So now we're one of the main names in the game. S&G recommends us when people come to them for safe deposit locks because we stand behind our products and offer a solid replacement for them.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I mean, obviously the safe deposit industry is changing. You're still going to see safe deposits in financial institutions and banks. They had a lot, I learned they had a lot more market penetration in even like high-end resort hotels.
Hotels, banks, schools.
Like the house safe, if you didn't have an in-room safe, when you had valuables, you'd like the manager, oh, I'll put it in the house safe. And that would be a safe deposit nest would be behind the desk.
Sure.
Nowadays, it's all in-room, hospitality safes, which is a transfer of liability.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's the thing about the liability is that there is additional liability there, but it's a service for the attendees or the guests, because with a safe deposit lock being dual custody, then a hotel safe, anybody can, if you're in a room, those aren't hard to defeat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that a lot.
If a safe deposit nest, is standing behind somebody who possesses the guard key, it's just a slight additional layer of security, peace of mind for the guest.
Yeah. So with the changing nature of everything, as we talked about, like a lot of major brands just, again, you and I are kind of BSing in the car, like private equity does what private equity is going to do. And to a lot of big companies, it's a line on a spreadsheet. They're like, oh, well, this division, it's not really profitable anymore. But all these customers out there still have hardware. They have these installs in these systems. You might have a small community regional bank. They can't like just wholesale replace their safe deposit boxes.
Sure.
So you still need these parts. And either you're going to have like a nest of boxes that one by one, like bad sectors on a hard drive, just fail over the years, or whatever, lost a key, or you need somebody who's willing to say, yeah, you know what, we'll take that on. A lot of my friends and viewers are like firearm people, and so many people have antique firearms where they say, oh yeah, I love this gun. It might not be an antique, it might just be from like the 70s. And like this small gun company went out of business. Good luck getting parts. Imagine a world where, and there's a few names in the industry. I mean, I throw words at KE Arms or somebody. There's some people in the industry who are like, no, I'll take on the mantle of that challenge. That's the equivalent here. There's almost, from what I saw in your massive warehouse, like everything I've ever learned about, every model I've ever heard of, you either stock old stock or you make an equivalent, or both.
We do our best. Some of our most common safe deposit locks. This is one of our main workhorse locks. The B440 replaces the Sergeant Greenleaf 4440, Ilco A400, and some others. And this is a fixed lever lock, a dual post fixed lever lock. So the levers, which are equivalent to pins in a pin tumbler lock, are the same between the renter and the guard side.
And if you want to change the keying, I mean, you're taking it apart like this and you're swapping levers.
Swapping the levers out, yeah. So you got 5 levers on the guard side and 7 levers. We actually added an extra lever compared to the S&G version on the renter side to add key codes.
More combinations.
But pretty much what you see is what you get. This lever is going to rotate into place and allow this fence to slide through there, allowing you to retract the bolt, open the lock.
And compare that with an adjustable fence lock right down here.
So yeah, this is one of our workhorse changeable locks. It's a B500 series. It's going to replace the Sergeant Greenleaf 4500, Ilco 5400, as well as some others. And the way that this works is you've got actually identical levers. Each lever is exactly the same, and so when it interacts with the key, it'll move to a slightly different position and then interact with the bolt, which has movable and changeable fences. So these fences here will be moved to adapt to each key and then interact with it to open the lock. So this is a Mosler 5700 replacement, our B5700. It's another fixed lever lock with the interesting piece of this, that's a single post. So your guard levers are going to have an interesting shape to them, not be quite the same as the Renners, because it's got to interact with the guard key that goes in on the other side of the lock. So these are a little bit annoying to work on, because anytime you want to get in there, you have to take every lever out.
Brilliant. Perfect shot. Perfect shot. Cool, cool.
And this here is a D-bolt replacement. So this is our B17570F, with the F version meaning that it's actually one side fixed, one side changeable. So a lot of what you run into when servicing a lock is that you want to be able to set the lock up to the bank's guard key easily, which is done very easily on a changeable lock, but you don't necessarily have to match a Renner key, because usually the Renner keys are given to the customer, and they can be totally unique. So these levers are all identical, much like in the B500 series, and will interact with these changeable fences on this bolt, which are currently set to neutral, currently operable without a guard key for use in setting up to a new key, where these fixed levers are each going to be slightly different depending on the depth of the cut that they correspond to. So these have to be loaded in the correct order and mated to a specific key. There's really a wide variety of these locks that were made over 100 years ago that are just difficult to replace. But the vast majority of what's in service now, we do offer replacements for. Got a few standard footprints that they generally follow, and we got all kinds of replacement locks. Very few things we can't help out with.
Yeah, and as we learned, in trainings like the big nose, little nose, there's so many different possible orientations, configurations that you can do. It's almost like a Mexican food menu. It's the same basic ingredients, and you're remixing them into so many dishes.
Different nose sizes, different bolt lengths, different plating finishes, guard keys, key links, all within the same general series of lock, like this B440 series, our replacement for the 4400. I think we offer 20 plus different SKUs there, and then if you add in the custom work that we can do, it's just an absolutely infinite range.
Yeah. And you said you almost started out here kind of just doing a lot of match work and things.
Yep.
When you brought me, this is a common situation even with existing installations where you have a guard key and you're ordering, I need a new replacement lock. Well, you have to key it to match your guard key. That would be something that either the installer would do, or nowadays even that knowledge is fading out. So they're asking their supplier, hey, this is our system. Can you give us a part that just works with it, please?
Yeah, it's knowledge, and then beyond that, it's also volume too. If you're somebody that does nothing but safe deposit locks, then you can hold a significant amount of inventory of both locks and parts and be able to do that kind of work on site easily. It's not as big of an industry as it used to be. Then the ability to keep all the parts for all the different lock series is just overwhelming for a lot of people, unless it's everything that they do.
And that is what y'all do. In addition to a few other things, you start off making hinges. Originally.
Yep, hinges are where we started. Started out manufacturing safe deposit hinges as we saw a need, and moved pretty quickly into locks, and that's taken over the majority of the business.
Absolutely.
Do a few other adjacent products like safe handles, replacement safe handles, cash trays, and a couple other adjacent things there. But by and large, safe deposit locks are the bulk of what we do.
Yeah.
The family history is interesting with Jamie's father being involved with S&G, which this is a replacement for an S&G lock, and he was involved in bringing the factory that S&G built in Nicholasville to that area, and then with him moving to eventually
Jim Taylor.
Jim Taylor.
Yeah,
yes,
like
Jim Taylor,
if you're in the industry,
eventually moving to doing contract manufacturing for Lefebvre. Should have a Lefebvre lock here, and then Ilco, and then eventually working with Jamie to start Bullseye. It's just it's a very interesting history.
Yeah, I mentioned the Miller family a great deal in the context of combination dial locks. The Taylors, there's your safe deposits, honestly. And even then, the whole industry, he was at S&G. There's this world where people step over here, work for them for a while, leave for a while, come back, start their own thing, and It's so strange because you'll see people. There's like a predictable pattern where a lot of people will feel a little hurt. Oh, I thought they were happy here. What are they doing their thing? And then they won't talk for a little bit, and then somebody will be like, "Can I get this part?" And then
They come
everyone's
back
friends
together.
again.
Yeah,
And then they just start supplying each
I
other.
agree. There's
Yeah.
some interesting patterns there. But yeah, and, the Miller family, and I'm not exactly sure the familial tie, but the Taylors and the Millers, are cousins in some cases. So it's all a very tight knit industry here in Central Kentucky.
Yeah. Part of what really captivated me about this story, again, it's this notion that people looked at a need and they said, well, I understand that to, a big board of directors somewhere else, this is not a profitable thing, but people, there's something you can't just abandon these people. And with the right dedication, talent, you find a way to make your niche. I love that. I really think it's kind of gorgeous, and it's just not letting people fall by the wayside because this system that they had, this product that they installed that they loved and were told it was going to be reliable forever. If a company goes away, who picks it up? How does I was curious, are most of these either out of patent or out of copyright at this time, or do you have special arrangements with some other brands? Say you're now an authorized reproducer of these parts.
So yeah, aside from even the Lefebvre locks that we produce here are out of patent, but we do own the tooling there. But yes, generally everything's just out of patent. It's some of these locks were designed decades ago, if not centuries ago, when it comes to the actual footprint of the lock. And so yeah, there's not necessarily any special arrangements, but we do usually have really good relationships with the companies whose locks we replace. Like this Diebold replacement lock, we sell a lot of locks to Diebold. And S&G, they're no longer making locks, so there's not even any competition there that remains. But we got a great relationship with them too. We were there together at that factory tour last night.
Yeah, yeah.
Safe deposit industry, it's not an industry that moves quickly, and by and large, almost all safe deposit locks are lever locks. You got some changeable, some fixed, and a few different varieties within that, but they're all lever locks.
There's a few questions in the CPS exam about the few that aren't. The BX with the weird C clip on the back and
Yep. Yeah, the Kuma Heroes are definitely an interesting one, that pin tumbler.
All right, well, I got to get back to Savta and do more safe tech things over at the conference center. But Connor, this was really fun. Thank you for reaching out. You're like, hey, I saw you were in town. We saw each other across the room at S&G.
Yeah, lots of conversations happening.
Hell yeah.
Catch you. But yeah, it's been great to have you out here and get to talk to you and
absolutely
show you a little bit about what we do.
Is that one of our traveler hooks? You get that from Lockmasters?
I got it from Lockmasters.
Right on. Well, wherever you are, wherever you're going, I hope you don't have to leave your valuables in a little cheap hospitality safe in your room closet. Maybe you're at a resort that actually has a nest of safe deposit boxes still behind the front desk somewhere. And if so, you can see where they're working, and hopefully they continue to work and stay in service thanks to people like y'all. I appreciate that. Wherever you're going, everybody, thanks for talking to me, talking about this, and I hope you stay safe out there.